Welcome to Scrap Cooking. Nice to see you guys. So today we've got a cool show where I'm actually going to be making a stir fry using a bunch of the little end bits that we did in our mini series that you can watch. So we're using the fried Brussels butts that we did, and we're going to use the fennel stalks. We're going to use some of the red pepper tops and bottoms. We're going to use some of the onion ends that were peel and sort of the middles. We're going to use the fennel fronds. And we're going to use the roasted garlic that we used in part of the sauce. And I'm going to show you a couple things with the ginger. And then we're also going to use some of these leaves from the Brussels sprouts that fell off when we were cutting them in half. We're also going to use some of these carrots. They were just carrots, but delicious as well to add in them. And you can add, this is really sort of like a kitchen sink stir fry. It's whatever you got in your house, all the little bits and bobs you can add in. Could be celery, could be green pepper, could be parsnips, could be, could be all sorts of stuff. But this is what we've got. So for first things first, I'm going to make a little sauce using our roasted garlic. So we're just gonna peel it. You can kind of pull it back and then we're gonna pop it out. So peel it back and you just kind of put your finger at the bottom and it pushes it out. So we got this nice, it's gonna make our sauce just a little bit, have a little bit of body to it, but it's also going to give it the sweetness. So I've got about just under a quarter cup of soy sauce. And if you're gluten-free, you can use tamari with, or gluten-free soy. And then I've also got about 2 tablespoons of vinegar. It could be rice wine vinegar, it could be apple cider vinegar, white wine vinegar, could be, you've got pickled onions in your fridge, could be the vinegar out of that. And then we're just gonna mix it all together. I really like soy sauce and vinegar and bold flavors, so I'll probably put it all in, but you don't have to use all of it. You can make half, just add a splash. It's really up to you and your taste. Everybody is different. Okay. And it's okay if it's not completely dissolved, little bits and pieces, because you'll get a little pop of flavor, a little pop of that sweetness from the roasted garlic. But so now we're just gonna put that aside. And we're gonna chop up our onions. So these are just sort of the onions, the edge of the onion, the first layer, and then some of the middles and the ends. And we're just gonna kind of put it in a pile. We're just gonna cut it up. So I'm gonna just put that up at the top there. Now I'm gonna take a piece of ginger. Now I love ginger, and I actually don't usually peel it, but not everybody likes the peel. So I'll show you how to take it off. But you'll also notice that ginger also often has little dried out sort of ends to it. So we're gonna cut that off. But it's still good to use, just in a different place. So I usually have a couple different kinds of stock containers on the go. So this one is gonna be for sort of Asian-y flavors. So I'll put garlic and onion and ginger. If I've got the ends of a lemongrass, I'll throw them in there. And I'll just keep it in the freezer. And then when I have enough stuff in that particular container, then I'll make a stock that's got those flavors that I'll use where those flavors make sense in another dish. So I'm just gonna cut off all these little dried ends. Put them in my little stock bowl. And then if you want to take the skin off, instead of using a peeler where you'll actually take in a lot of the ginger itself, it's actually, I find, easier to do it with a spoon. So just sort of pull down, and find it easier to get into the nooks and crannies where, since it's usually a small piece. And all those little peels, you can throw them in your little stockpile. So we're still using everything. Now I also really like ginger, so I'm gonna use all of this for my stir fry. But if ginger is not your flavor, you don't have to use it at all, or you could use a lot less than I'm using. I like flavors to punch you in the face. So there we go. So we've got ginger, onion, got our roasted garlic in our sauce. We've got carrots. Everybody else is cut, and I'm just gonna rough chop this. It's just gonna be a garnish at the end. Little fennel fronds. All right, so everybody is ready to go. Now I'm gonna turn on my element. And if you're at home and you've got an electric stove, I would probably, I'd put it up to too high, medium high, almost like closer to the high end, because we do want to be cooking this on high heat. Once we get our pan hot, we're gonna add a little bit of oil. Just a nice neutral oil, but something that is good for high heat. That is oil. Yep. So some oils are good for high heat. Canola oil, peanut oil is very good for high heat, but many people have allergies, so you don't need to use that at all. I'm just using canola oil, but you can use soy oil, vegetable oil, grapeseed oil is also very good for high heat cooking. But what you don't want to use is extra virgin olive oil, because it's the point at which it starts smoking is quite low, and then your oil will be very acrid, kind of bitter and gross. So, oh, we can see my pan is smoking. So we are going to add some oil. So I am going to add my oil to my oil, my ginger and my onion. So I'm gonna tilt my pan away from me so that when I add it, it's not gonna splash back at me. So I put it up here and then lower the oil. And then you can move it around. So we want that sort of nice high heat. Just gonna add all of these guys all together. So carrots, fennel, and peppers. So once you can kind of start seeing a little bit of brown around the edges. So if your pan handle starts getting hot, I mean, you can use an oven mitt if you want, but I actually am more used to using a tea towel, where kind of put it like that over my hand, and then we go like this. Whoop. And then it's covering my thumb so that I can safely pick this up. Woo. High heat is so that you cook the outside quickly and the inside is still a bit crunchy. Whereas if you have it on sort of medium heat, it's all gonna cook at the same time. So everything's gonna be the same texture. So by doing it at high heat, you're doing it a bit, doing it so that you have a bit more crunch to it. So I am now gonna add this to a bowl. And we're gonna take the sauce And we're gonna cook it down a little bit. But you also have to watch out because salt doesn't evaporate. So when the liquid, like soy sauce that's got salt in it, the more you reduce it, the saltier it gets. So I've got that. I'm actually just gonna put it in a bowl. Then I'm gonna take my Brussels leaves, put them in there, and then I'm gonna add the sauce to it. And you don't have to add all of it, but then we can sort of, the heat is gonna wilt your Brussels sprouts. And then, if you had some noodles or if you had some steamed rice, then you would have a nice thing to put on top of it with our fennel fronds and also my favorite, the Brussels for a nice added crunch. Lovely little sauce. And then if you want, if you're me, I like extra sauce, especially on my little Brussels ends. And you could garnish it with some toasted sesame seeds or a little bit of chili oil or hot sauce. I love hot sauce, so that's my jam. But yeah, so we've got this lovely little stir fry. Oh yeah, that's really good. Over rice, over noodles, it's perfect. And then you have like a whole meal that's just been made out of ends, which is awesome. So thanks for watching Scrap Cooking, and we'll see you for our next episode.